Hello, everybody. Welcome to Coffee, Cancer, and Cocktails, our new version on YouTube. I'm Pam, and I have with me today my sister, Kylee Reed, who is visiting from, I always say, New Jersey, Philly area.
It is. It is. I live about 20 minutes outside of Philadelphia in New Jersey.
Okay.
We claim Philly. We definitely claim Philly.
I should know that, being your sister. I've never visited you.
No, it's
Anyway,
fine.
she used to
I'd
live
rather
here.
come here.
Yeah,
So.
she used to live here, and now she lives there. Today, this is going to be a really cool episode. I call them episodes. If you're brand new to Coffee, Cancer, and Cocktails, which we all are because it's brand new. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, really the point of this is to have, I say, real talk with real people, drinking really good cocktails or coffee because it's morning. So this morning, it doesn't look like morning because it's very dark. It's a rainy day, but it's morning. So, we're going to get into, it's called Coffee, Cancer, and Cocktails because of where we started, which was a cancer journey, but we're going to take a deep dive into a lot of different journeys. And today we're going to dive into Kylie's journey, which is with food. She has a interesting relationship with food that I think many of us can relate to on many levels. And with dieting, weight loss, weight gain, the yo-yo, the everything. So hopefully we'll share some good little nuggets to give inspiration and, give just some things to think about. So Kylie, talk to us about your journey. I know because I lived it with you.
You would.
But I was there, and it started at a very young age. So walk us through sort of what you've gone through with your food relationship and your weight.
I believe that it really began when just a convenience store that uniquely we lived in as well. Our home was attached to it. And my brother and I, who were...
You guys are going to hear the dogs chewing on bones in the background. Sorry.
They, you guys are, a little bit of age difference between Courtney, my brother, and I. And so I think you guys were already at a point where you had kind of established healthy routines.
Yeah, I think I was 12 when we moved. Yeah, I think I had my 13th birthday there. So I think I was 12. And Kylie's 9 years younger. And Courtney's 10 years younger. And Jody's 2.5 years younger than me. So we have like two different sets of siblings.
So Courtney and I almost immediately it was like Christmas morning every day. And what are we going to put in our stocking for treats? And we kind of had run of the house. I mean, my parents had several businesses that they were running. And we began just eating the penny candy and everything that was available to us.
The store you could go to.
Yeah. So I mean, we lived there. They worked there. I mean, we were there all the times. We kind of blew up. My parents, I think my mom cooked very healthy meals. It wasn't like she was allowing us free reign. And as it became a problem and it was noticeable, and Courtney and I became sneakers. We would sneak down in the middle of the night and hide food for the next day, which transitioned into adulthood. Even today, I think if I'm gonna veer off and have something that I, a treat even, I'm probably gonna do it by myself. So it's those habits were established very early on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it was like training. It's like Pavlovian training. You knew you could have it without getting in trouble, right? Getting in trouble if you just snuck it.
Yeah,
they're not doing inventory every night, so right. I don't know.
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's even after we left, I think we sold that when I was about 12, but at that point, kind of the damage was done, and a true food addiction kind of was developed. I don't have any real childhood trauma that,
triggered it.
Yeah, nothing like that triggered. It was just available to me all the time. And, cakes and pies. So I was just eating all the time. And then as I grew in society, that habit became how we celebrated, how I dealt with sadness. That was my
your crutch. Yeah. I'm like that too. I will say, that's how I've had to train myself out of that too, in the sense that that is like, oh, I had such a good day today. I deserve ice cream. Or, oh, I had a horrible day. I deserve ice cream.
Yeah,
And
it's comforting when
yeah, I think that's really common. But when you grow up with
Mhm.
full access, which, Jody and I did not have before we
Right.
got to the store, we had no access. So I think that's a big
Mhm.
difference right there is having um, literally like a free for all
Yeah.
at your disposal all the time.
You
Yeah.
can clearly see the level of self-control, even though I think most people in society use food to some degree
Mhm.
for joy and sadness,
Yeah.
but the level of control that you and Jody have versus Courtney and I is
Mhm.
very clear,
Yeah.
and that is because you guys had certain food habits established already.
Yeah. That's a solid point. So at what point do you remember weight becoming an issue, either within your own self or like with mom?
Mhm.
And we say mom because, she's the mom. And moms are the ones that oversee this, typically not
Mhm.
the dads.
I think that I we grew up in a very small area. I had tons of friends within my school setting. It only became an issue if somebody got mad at you, and then it's like, "Well, you're fat," and then I go home and be
Mhm.
like, "Oh, that's right, I am."
And
So
how old do you remember, like, what's your earliest memory of that?
we ate.
8.
I played sports. I loved softball. It was always very active. We were always outside playing. So I don't feel like it hindered my ability to move around
Mhm.
until a little bit later on in life. But mom was definitely the catalyst to trying to get change. It was
Mhm.
the get in shape girl, Christmas presents with the leotard, and
I remember. Were there videos or something?
there
Or
were
was it just the
videos.
outfit?
Yeah, I
I
think
don't
there was videos involved, and then several Weight Watcher attempts.
Yeah, and I feel like I remember mom having you in Weight Watchers when you were, like, 5.
I don't
Is that
remember that, but
maybe
you probably remember more than I when it comes to that.
Yeah.
I do remember a hypnosis session. That it was like
Ooh.
it was a hypnosis, but it wasn't just people were I think for cigarette smoking for everybody
Okay.
was there for different
Ooh, I don't
reasons.
remember that one. How
I
old were you for
do.
that?
I was probably 12,
Okay.
11 or 12. Um,
Oh, yeah, I was gone
yeah.
by then. Yeah, I didn't remember that one.
She constant efforts,
Mhm.
and I think that we've talked about that since. There's some guilt involved in level of responsibility, and
Having the free reign. Yeah.
mhm. And I mean, as a mother now, I feel that responsibility for my children. So
Mhm.
I definitely can understand that. But she was kind of constantly kind of coming up with something that she thought would work, and
Yeah, and I think there's a difference because, you know, in in our area where we live,
Mhm.
there's a lot of girls who deal and boys who deal with anorexia and bulimia, and that's and it's just maybe the time frame also.
Mhm.
If there's a difference between the moms who are on their kid because they have to be the skinniest, the prettiest, um, the best, all that triggers all these um eating disorders.
Mhm.
But that in mom's view, it was really trying to keep you from becoming overweight
Right.
or
Right.
or obese, right? So it was more of a health thing than a you have to be skinny to fit in.
Mhm.
I think,
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. I think it was health
Mhm.
driven, um, and fear. I think that growing up in Vermont, a lot of people are overweight. Jerry, but then Jerry's and I were
Best
very
friend.
close.
Yep.
So you,
We had free reign to that too, by the
yeah,
way.
yeah,
Many pints of ice cream
Ben
at
and
that
Jerry's
store.
and cheese and just lots
Mhm.
of just foods, maple syrup. That
Yeah.
a lot of people are overweight there, and then it's dark and cold and less ability to be active so many months out of the year.
You get to layer.
Yeah,
You get to layer a
it's a
lot
layer.
and hide under your jackets.
So, I think that there was a little bit of that as well as,
Mhm.
uh, not having to fit in, but also trying to make sure that, because I think the effort for me was more than it was for Courtney.
Uh,
And I think part of that is understanding that the world was going to be less kind to a female.
yeah. I was gonna say it's a boy girl versus
Yeah.
situation where it's not as big a deal
Mhm.
for boys to be a little
Yeah.
chunky.
And he was always working and active. And so I
Yeah,
think that was, he'll just shut it off. And
yeah.
so, yeah, but I do think her efforts were always with good intention and
Mhm.
not be the best.
Yeah.
And at the same time, both my father and mother and all of my family, you were also someone who was always such a positive support in that. Like, um, it wasn't, let's go do this diet. It was like, let's go out and go for this walk. And
You did. Yeah.
you always gave me other ways to um, be healthy. Appreciate that.
Oh,
Even when I moved to here,
yeah.
you were the first person getting me to. I was at that point where I was actually on a jog, for the
Yeah.
first time, and so those moments of being very proud of myself early on usually came with something that you had introduced to me.
Maybe.
So yes.
Did have
um,
that. I do remember us going for little walks and jogs. That was good.
yeah,
When I lived in Duluth. Yeah,
yeah.
when you lived with us. Yeah. Um, that's that's interesting. So as you guys you got older and got into high school, did you see patterns changing? Did you see the problem getting exacerbated, the relationship with the food getting maybe a little more toxic?
I would say that there became a period. Well, I think I can touch on this at this point. I think where most young girls were struggling with their self-worth.
Mm-hmm.
I was always surrounded by people who made it very clear how special I was. My grandparents, my parents, my siblings were always telling me how beautiful I was inside and out, and I believed them.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was always this separation of being unhappy, maybe with the way my body was or my habits, the addiction, with how I actually felt about who I was. I always believe I'm a 10 when it comes to being a human being. There was always that separation. So I think while other girls my age were dealing with self confidence issues, I was not. And there became a period in high school where my mother had less control over what I was eating and what steps I needed to take. I was out with my friends more. And there wasn't as much of a hyper focus on,
Mm-hmm.
I need to be on this diet. I need to do that. I was just living life and enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that period of time, I was the most stable as far
Oh,
as my weight
interesting.
goes.
Which is so the opposite of
Yeah.
most
Yeah.
girls, especially that whole starting in middle school
Hmm.
through high school is a
I
shit show a
definitely,
lot of the time.
I gained a lot of weight in middle school. But in high school, I was pretty stable. I actually
Mm-hmm.
probably weighed about what I weigh now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Um, I never really weighed myself then. I remember there being one time where my friend Jamie and I were like, let's just not eat at all. But it was not, I don't remember it being like, because we have to starve ourselves. We have to
Uh,
throw up and we
yeah.
have to, it was like, let's try it. It was like a
How'd
whim.
that go for you?
Well, I'm pretty sure right after that was when the acid reflux started and my eyesight went bad. And we did it for like 30 days.
What? I
Yeah,
don't even
that
know
was
about
it.
this.
Yeah, it was like 30 days, and we're like, we're gonna throw up, and it was such a casual
Wait,
thing
so
for
wait,
us.
you were eating and you were purging, or you
Hmm.
just weren't eating? Or you were like
Both,
anorexia, bulimic. You would eat
both.
nothing, and then if you ate anything, you'd throw it up.
But yeah, if
Okay.
we weren't binging, if we ate, we're like, we'll just throw it up. If we have
Mhm.
to eat, well, then we'll throw it up.
Oh my God,
And
I didn't know you did
I
that.
think that's why. I mean, nobody likes throwing up, but ugh, I hate it.
Mm.
But after that was, I think that was
Wow.
my junior year, towards the end of my junior year, the beginning of my senior year, was like, my eyesight's not great. And,
Oh my
so
God, I
I
didn't
never
know
had
that.
acid
Yeah.
reflux before that. And in such a short period of time, it
Wow.
did a lot of damage, but I don't remember it being, it was just something we casually did. That's
Interesting.
the only,
Was it like a challenge just to see if you
yeah,
could?
like kind of we could, and maybe this will work.
Mm.
Um, and then we just stopped. We're like, all right, we've had enough of this.
Yeah, this
We want to
sucks.
eat.
Uh-huh.
And, we're drinking in high school.
Yeah.
And so, um, we were just living life. I don't remember especially the last 3 years of high school being concerned as much and
Mhm.
constantly on a diet.
Oh, wow.
We were just having fun. And then,
And I will say, it's so fascinating to me because I remember being in high school, I weighed myself all the time.
mhm,
And I didn't have an eating disorder, but I was very conscious of working out. I
mhm,
worked out
yeah.
all the time and just being very, very conscious of my how I looked. I mean, that's I think very normal. So it's so fascinating to me that maybe as the world was looking at you as somebody that, should be concerned with,
Mhm.
that you
Yeah.
weren't. And yeah, that's
Mhm.
fascinating. I never thought about that.
Yeah. I mean, uh, 8th grade, 7th or 8th grade, Aunt Barb, I was having a hard time finding clothes.
Mhm.
And my aunt, who was a beautiful seamstress, she took and we went out shopping for fabrics and basically made me a whole new wardrobe
Oh, wow.
from
I didn't know
scratch.
that either.
Um, and then in high school, I was transitioning my style as well.
Mm,
So I was kind of moving away from all that and really focused on who do I want to be instead
mhm.
of somebody kind of telling me this would be flattering and that would
Yeah.
be and I was very much a tomboy as well. So there was
Mhm.
that kind of owning that I want to wear jeans and my basketball t-shirt and that's all that's
Mhm.
fine. And
Mhm.
um so that was a lot of high school. I had great friends.
Mhm.
I met my husband in high school, and he didn't seem to mind.
Yeah.
So it was fine. I don't
Yeah.
remember high school being outside of that being
Mhm.
I have to lose this weight.
Wow, that's awesome, actually. Okay, so then you transition, and you're taller than me. How tall are you?
5'8".
5'8". And what were you weighing about that?
I don't know. I can only compare what
Mhm.
pictures to what I am now,
Uh-huh.
and my face was fuller then, but I
Uh-huh.
think body wise was probably about the same.
Okay.
I actually probably weighed a little bit more then, because I was probably a size 18, I'm a 14.
Okay.
So, I probably weighed about 250 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then you leave high school,
Mhm.
and then what?
Went to high school, moved here, was gonna come down here and go to school, and that didn't quite work out, so began working, and I was
Mhm.
working we were working in a restaurant,
We worked
and
together.
yeah, it was great, and, on my feet, so I was moving, 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 and that there was, an ice cream bar. I love ice cream, it's my favorite thing.
Big old ice
Yeah,
cream bar there.
yeah.
Really
So
good french fries.
we were eating. I mean, well, I was eating and out partying and, was
Mhm.
never a big drinker, did some in high school, was, kind of going out then too. But I was out living life, which you warned me about. You said, don't spend all your money
Don't spend all your
going out with
money.
restaurant people.
It's too easy on the
Uh,
in the restaurant scene.
so, um, so yeah, I think that I was so active working doubles and that
Mhm.
I had a couple jobs and was working doubles and didn't really gain during that
Yeah.
period of time either. And then we were going for walks in the morning
Mhm.
before our shifts. As I started working more, I got away from my morning walks. And so, but I
Mhm.
was still working so much that I didn't really gain much during that period of
Yeah.
time. I ended up getting pregnant
Mhm.
and not having that
Mhm.
pregnancy. And that was a catalyst for me for some trauma and things that I needed to work through emotionally.
Mhm.
And I turned to food once I moved to Providence. So
Mhm.
my husband was graduating a year behind me. He was supposed to come down to Atlanta. He ended up going to school in Providence, Rhode Island. So I went up there with him. And at that point, the trauma, not understanding that trauma at that point carried with me. Um, and so going from working, working, working to a very stagnant school life, smoking weed and
Mhm.
having snacks all the time. We lived right below not right below, but right next to kind of a Walgreens. So we were
Uh-huh.
getting little Debbie snacks and I gained a lot of weight that first year. I
Yeah.
remember getting off the plane and Rachel picking me up and she's like, I didn't even recognize you. I think I
Uh-huh.
gained like 80 pounds that first
In a
year.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So, and, it was just a mixture of being very stagnant and
Mhm.
my eating habits still being there, but not having the activity to kind of
Yeah.
counteract it. And then using food as well for
Mhm.
working through the guilt that I had
Mhm.
um, with the pregnancy, and I gained a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And so I think at that point I was about 330 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I know just because I'm your sister that continued
Hmm.
and um you were constantly working on it,
Hmm.
but it was almost like from outside looking in, but let me know how you feel about it. You could never sort of get on top of it.
No.
And so what was happening with all that?
Mhm. I got pregnant with Quentin, and ironically, during my pregnancies, I never really gained more than like 15 pounds. When it was somebody else that I had to be focused on and aware of and
Mhm.
care for, I became very much in charge of it. Like, okay,
Mhm.
the doctor said I can't gain a bunch of weight because it's not healthy for the babies.
Yeah, that makes sense.
In charge of it during that period of time. Mm. So there was those points where I was pretty stable. Tried Weight Watchers a bunch,
Mhm.
and I know Weight Watchers works for you. Uh, it doesn't work for me. And the system has changed so many times,
It
but at
has
that
changed.
point,
Yeah.
I was using my little 33 points for
Mhm.
I'm gonna eat what I want for my 33
Yeah.
points. There's a way to cheat the
There
system.
is
I'll
definitely a
figure
way
it
to cheat
out.
the system.
So I didn't like at that point the accountability of the meetings. And
Oh, yeah.
I was young. I was 23.
Yeah. Yeah, that was always intimidating for me too. I don't
Mhm.
do that in meetings because that whole stepping on the scale and
Mhm.
yeah. Ugh.
We got married when I was 23,
Mm.
and that process was frustrating.
Mhm.
Not being able to I found a dress, like, that I randomly ordered, like, well, at that point, when I got married, I probably was almost 400 pounds.
When you got married.
Yeah,
And how old were you?
23.
23. Cool.
'Cause
Somewhere around 400
I think
pounds.
my dress was 24, 26, and it was just something that I had to it was the only one I could find that
Yeah.
I could afford.
It wasn't like you were like, "Oh, that's my
Yeah, there was
dress." It was,
none of that. Yeah.
"That's my option."
Yeah, so it
That
it was
sucks.
kind of
Yeah.
dulled, the whole
Yeah, it takes
experience
the
for me.
excitement out of it.
Yeah, and I remember always in my head being like, "I'm doing this over
Mm.
the way I want it when I can someday."
Yeah, and at that point, because you've always had this very strong sense of self-worth, where was your head then when you're trying to find a dress for your wedding?
My food addiction and my inability to overcome it has always made who I believe to be a very, um confident, and if I set my mind to something, I can go out and achieve it, and I'm very driven and let me check off my list and get it done. And um I've never been able to do that with weight, and
Mm.
that is the one area of my life that makes me feel weak. And
Mhm.
I don't like asking for help from people because there's a sense of weakness that it can drive with me, and so that feeling
Yeah.
of weakness um just caused me to kind of eat more. It just exasperated this, well, I'll go eat my feelings of
Yeah.
weakness, and so that
You feel bad
carried.
about yourself, so you're gonna punish yourself,
Yeah.
and it's almost like I've done this myself where it's like, no, it's almost like, oh, a mashup of being consoled by the food, but also
Mhm.
punished by the food.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Even in the midst of eating it,
Yeah,
you
yeah, where
know.
you're like, "I'm a piece of shit because 'cause I'm eating this and I have no" what's the word?
Oh,
Not yeah, there's a, my God,
willpower.
willpower. I
Mhm.
have no willpower. I felt that way so many times, but then you're like, "But this sucks and it
Mhm.
tastes good and I'm just gonna do it." Yeah, there's such a ugh, it's just a I think many, 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 especially women can Coda, you're being annoying, can relate to that no matter what size you
Yeah.
are, but that's, I'm sure feels probably more extreme in those moments because we were talking, yesterday about the, um, the problem when you have a food addiction, right? Is that you have a different kind of addiction, whether it's drugs or alcohol or sex or whatever.
Mhm.
You can get all the alcohol out of the house. You can get keep yourself away from drugs that just, if it's out of sight, out of mind, it makes it easier.
Mhm.
But you can't remove the food from your house.
Right.
So you can stock it with healthy
Mhm.
options, but everywhere you go, you're surrounded
Yeah.
by the food.
Everywhere you go, everything you see, whether it's social media, TV, you're driving down the road, there's
Mhm.
McDonald's, delivery trucks.
Juicy cheese
Yeah.
dripping out.
It's understanding, and a lot of people think being overweight means you don't have an understanding of what's going on with the food addiction, or I'm acutely aware of what the food is doing to my body, and how, even chemically what it's doing. It's releasing the same chemicals as heroin does in your body. That's what sugar does to you. And so when you have that addiction and you're driving down the road and you see a hamburger or ice cream, it's triggering you, just like
Yeah.
if you were sitting next to a bottle of vodka. But like food, unlike liquor, you
Yeah.
can't escape it.
No.
Those are decisions you have to make. You have to have food to survive. So they're decisions that you have to make all day, every day. And
Which has got to be kind of exhausting.
it is exhausting.
And frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is exhausting. And it's the understanding that I've had to finally get to, that no matter how far I get on my journey physically, the mental side of it will be there. I will always have to be making these decisions.
Mhm.
It's always be having to make
Well,
the
yeah,
best
and that
decision.
totally reminds me of alcoholics. Like, you always gotta, doesn't matter what party you're at or wherever,
Mhm.
like, you always gotta make that choice to, or if you gave up cigarettes or whatever, you always smell the, I didn't smoke, but I know
Mhm.
many people, they're like, oh, if they just smell it, they're like, oh my God, I gotta have a
Yeah,
cigarette.
yeah.
And it's like that constant,
Mhm.
except again, with food, it's almost like a 24/7
Yeah.
mindfulness
Yeah.
versus a socially, in a social setting, or, at a party or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that has to be super,
I
super exhausting.
I think so. We there was, I was raising Quentin for the first few years.
Mhm.
Again, still just eating, trying, a few things here and there, knowing I wanted to lose weight.
Yeah, I remember you doing juicing and a whole bunch.
Juicing came after Khalil. There became a shift where I started, thanks to Netflix.
Mhm.
I went on the HCG,
Mhm.
which was pretty effective. I lost 30 pounds in 30 days. I gained it all right back,
Mhm.
but I started looking up different approaches.
Mhm.
And then that led me down to watching this documentary on juicing, and really just gaining more knowledge about health in general,
Mhm.
and fruits and vegetables, and wanting to no longer have a quick fix,
Yeah.
but a lifetime. How am I going to be successful long term?
Yeah.
And I thought that juicing would have been a good start to that.
Mhm.
And I did a little bit of juicing, shorter juice fasts, and then kind of just went off and went back to normal eating. And but I enjoyed it, and I saw that it was working, and I felt amazing.
Mhm.
And then I got pregnant with Reed. Was pretty stable during that pregnancy, and then just something after he was born, just I think I was ready before I got pregnant. Um, and 6 weeks after he was born, I started, just it clicked, and I went on a 90-day juice fast. I lost about 75 pounds during that time, and started working out. Pretty
And now at this point, you've had Quentin, you've had Khalil, you've had Reed.
Mhm.
How old are you?
35.
It's 35 at
Mhm.
that point. And how much, do you know how much weight at that?
440 pounds.
440 pounds.
Yeah.
And 5'8".
Mhm.
So,
I have
yeah.
some before and afters.
Oh,
We
yeah,
can put
yeah.
that in.
I wanted to, even if we just pull them up and show them on here. I don't know how to edit this shit yet. So, we'll do that.
Yeah.
But, we can even put them in the feed, I guess. But, yeah. So, I mean, you were significantly overweight, and fair to say, fell in the morbidly obese
Oh,
category.
super morbidly obese at that point.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to the doctor. I mean,
Mhm.
at that point, and to touch on this, while I'm a very caring person.
Mhm.
So, and I'm in an interracial marriage. So there are stereotypes that go with that, the white woman tends to be overweight, and I hate, um, filling stereotypes, and so
Yeah.
that always stuck with me. If
Oh,
we would
yeah,
go
that's a good
out, I'd be
point,
like,
yeah.
"Oh," and so there was just things I was always aware of how my presence was probably making,
Mhm.
even if my loved ones weren't embarrassed, that other people were embarrassed for them. And so,
Yeah.
I would do less with my family and be around less outside of my one friend who was also overweight and she didn't care. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I I I did less with other people, not because I wanted to and I cared, but I
Mhm.
didn't want to have them
So,
have
like,
to deal with the stares or,
put
from
other
other people.
people
Yeah.
in position. And you had said something to me the other day when we were talking about this. Um, just the whole idea of, yeah, I'm sure being out, the judgment.
Hmm.
So if you're at a restaurant and someone sees you, it's like oh my God, like feeling. And again, I do this, and it's just my own brain. If I'm not where I want to be with my own weight and I'm out and I eat a burger and fries, I'm like, are people staring at me like, am I being judged? And, so what kind of how is that for you?
I mean, at 440 pounds, when you go out to eat, you have to be aware of, am I going to fit in the booth? Will the chair hold me? Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so many factors. Can I get to the bathroom? Like
Mhm.
there's so many things at that size that you have to be aware of when you're going into a new space. And then you sit down to
That's a
eat.
whole nother
Yeah.
psychological
Yeah.
brain.
And then you sit down to eat and you're like, okay, well, I know what I want,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
everybody else thinks I should be eating a salad to be feeling like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing and
Like you're
caring.
working at it.
Yeah, if you're not working at it, then, you know, what are you doing?
Yeah.
How dare
So
you be comfortable at this size?
right.
And we see this on social media. There's a
Mhm.
big movement towards body acceptance, and the pushback is, how dare you be happy? How
Yeah.
dare you be
Yeah.
happy and accept where you're at? And
Yeah.
if you do, that means you're accepting unhealthiness. And it's like, no,
Yeah.
that's not.
So
You have
I
to
freaking love
accept.
Lizzo for all she
Yeah.
does. She's awesome. And I was just thinking of somebody else. I do love how there are
Mhm.
a few handful of companies now
Yeah.
that are really using plus size models. And well, even even I love that they do this now, like Old Navy and Athleta and those places. If you go on even online, it says, look at how this looks on a size 2 or a size 10 or a size 18
Yeah.
model. And I love that there's those options now, but that's
Absolutely.
very recent. Yeah.
But I mean, it's sad because the majority of people in this country and other countries
Mhm.
are overweight. I mean, it's size 8 is not the norm
No.
anymore, and
Yeah.
it's just not. And so I'm glad that society is catching up, but you know, there you have to accept who you are, and the more you fight against it, the more you're going to struggle with it.
Mhm.
I think accepting and enjoying where you are, no matter wherever you are in life, body wise or whatever you're dealing with, learning to find the joy in the days and accepting where you are doesn't mean you're not ever going to work on it. Or
Right.
but the
Right.
more you find the joy in your days, day to day,
Mhm.
easier that transition is going to be to move out
Well,
of.
yeah, because if you're constantly like shitting on yourself and being like, you're, I'm a loser, you know, I have, again, no willpower. It could be easy to get into a super negative
Mhm.
spiral that, I'm sure that's how people end up on my 600-pound life
Yeah.
because they're just like, screw it. I'm just going to eat
Yeah.
5 Big Macs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Screw it. Everybody thinks I'm a fat ass anyway.
Yeah.
I'll just go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can totally see how that would be easy. That would be not, it'd be easy to fall into, but super hard to fight against also. Super hard.
Not to go down a path of spirituality, but understanding the resistance, the
Mhm.
more negative energy you're bringing
Yep.
into something, the more you're presented with that.
Mhm.
So finding the positive and the
Yeah.
joy is how you make the next step. Um, so yeah, I think that, um, eating out was tough. I certainly did
Mhm.
it. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
certainly
I
did
didn't
a
even
lot of
think
it.
about the whole idea of trying to figure out if you can fit
Mhm.
into the booth. I mean, I went to
Yeah.
breakfast the other day. I went to breakfast the other day, and it was like I was going to have a business meeting, and I'm like, I didn't even have room to like have this notebook with me. I was
Mhm.
like, and you're just like sliding. The booths were like that big. I was like, holy shit, who can even fit in
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be that would be. So I'm just curious too, like if you're going in and you see the hostess, are they like, are we gonna put her?
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh,
Absolutely. And you just go through life and you can immediately tell by the way people are dealing with you how kind they are.
uh-huh.
We've both done hostess work,
Yeah.
and do you prefer a booth or a table, but you don't always have that option. But
Mhm.
the people who are going to ask regardless, are understanding. You just go through life understanding that there are
Mhm.
people who are just more kind and
Mhm.
understanding than others. So yeah, I the booth is tricky,
Yeah.
but also the chairs could be tricky. Like are the chairs gonna hold me?
Yeah, yeah,
This
yeah. Mhm.
those plastic lawn chairs are like my nemesis. Like, broken. We have them at our house now, and I'm like, I'm not sitting in those. Like I've
No.
had a bad experience.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's how sturdy is it going to be? So
Mhm.
you kind of go into places that you know, so
Yeah,
you
so
can avoid having that.
totally. I can see how you totally just
Yeah.
stick with those places, which also then limits your life and
Hmm.
experience.
Hmm.
That sucks.
Yeah. I mean, even now, um, there's things I want to do, and
Mhm.
I still have to. What's the weight requirement? What's the, you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
and I don't fit into that category any longer weight wise. Where if a man can do it, I can do it because the
Yeah.
average man is gonna, you know what I mean? But
Mhm.
I'm like, let me go do the
Yeah.
research and make sure because
Well,
I
yeah,
want to
because
avoid any embarrassment.
exactly, it's the whole
Hmm.
embarrassing thing. Okay, so let's start. So you started the journey very, very young, and then then got your pregnancies out of the way, let's say, because that is a time that most people, I know I gained a
Hmm.
crap ton of weight, but you didn't. And then you started the juicing. And at that point, you said what, 440?
440, and before that, any of the efforts that I had made, maybe 30 pounds
Mm-hmm.
was the most I had ever lost, but then
Okay.
gained back that usually,
Again.
and then some.
Yeah, like a normal, that's what
Normal
happens.
yo-yo.
Yep. You always gain it back
Yeah.
and then some.
So I started a juice fast, lost the 75 pounds,
Mm-hmm.
went to sign up with the YMCA, was
Mm-hmm.
there about 5 days a week. Zumba became my new drug of choice.
Yeah, which
And
is good.
yeah, and was doing weights and sauna and was very limited. So once I transitioned out of the juicing, I was very limited. I ate pretty much the same thing every day. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it probably isn't realistic for most. It certainly wasn't the healthiest
Mm-hmm.
approach. I was eating like tuna fish and
So eating
mustard.
healthy.
Yeah, like I was
Yeah.
very limited on my calories. I realized if I
And
went
that's
over,
probably like a control thing. So if you just
Mhm.
stayed in this controlled pocket, you wouldn't.
Yeah.
If you have to stop, I know I do the same thing. If I have to stop and think about what am I going to have,
Mhm.
I'll be like, right now I'm super hungry, so I'm going to
Yeah.
have blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
instead of being like the chicken deli meat with the mustard
Yeah.
because there's 0 points in mustard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get that because anytime I'm dieting or even on Weight Watchers, I always have hard boiled eggs, deli meat, like the
Mhm.
things that are easy that I know I won't stray from.
Right.
Yeah.
And in the less thought
Hmm.
I had to put into it because I realized once I went over a certain amount of calories, I wasn't losing. And
Yeah.
that was low. Like it was like 800 or 900
Oh, I was
calories.
going to ask you that.
And
Like,
I
what
was
were you
like,
living on
if I went
while
over a
working
thousand,
out?
yeah, while working out. And if I
Yeah.
went over if I went over 1200, I wasn't losing. So I was like,
Hmm.
all right, well, I know that this is in my daily caloric needs, so I'm just gonna eat it. And
Yeah.
everybody's like, how can you eat the same thing every day? That it doesn't bother me at all. Even now, I'll be like, same salad every day. I'm
Yeah, it doesn't
fine.
bother me either.
I love
Hmm.
food and I like variety, but I can absolutely eat the same
Yeah.
thing every day. So I was in that routine, and I had a 6-week-old when I started this. So I was taking him to the gym, bringing
Hmm.
him to the gym daycare, and it was someone who never really put a lot of energy into myself, self-care wise. Um that was hard. It was hard
Yeah.
decision to be like, I'm gonna take my baby and give
Especially
him to
especially the
strangers.
baby
Yeah.
baby. Yeah.
And it was absolutely a universal line because that place just took to him,
Mhm.
took to Khalil. Everybody was getting what they needed. And I have said this 100 times. I am a better mother for that experience.
Mhm.
I'm a better mother when I'm putting the energy into myself.
Yeah.
And
Well, yeah, and I think that's fair across the board
yeah.
for anybody.
Mhm.
We're suck at it, mothers especially,
Yeah.
suck at self-care, and we know
Mhm.
that if we take care of ourselves, we'll be better
Right.
caregivers. Um, but it's still always hard to
Yeah.
put ourselves first, for
I
sure.
can't imagine. I mean, that gym was absolutely a part of my success because
Mhm.
they saw my journey and they were so excited. I mean, they got
Yeah,
um
you had a wicked support group
I do.
there.
I mean, I'm headed there this afternoon.
Yeah.
Like I'm in town. I'm
In
gonna go
town
see
and
my
going
girls,
yeah,
So I
huge.
they were wonderful. The
Mhm.
the daycare staff was wonderful. My kids are all 6.5 years apart. So Khalil was 6.5, 7. They had a kids center for him that was separate. He was loving it. Everybody was just I didn't feel like they weren't getting what they needed from me during that time.
Mhm.
They were getting something else
Yeah,
and they all were getting something and
yeah.
it was great.
No one was being
Yeah.
abandoned in
Nobody
a
yeah.
cold, sterile
No,
environment
no.
with, Nurse Ratchet.
So became something that was my happy hour. I look forward to it every single day.
That's awesome.
And it never felt like work. And I think that's a piece of advice I give to anyone who wants to obviously diet is far more important than
Mhm.
exercise when it comes to losing weight. But if you are gonna exercise, find something you enjoy doing. It
Yeah.
should not feel like work.
Yeah, or that it's like you dread it,
Yeah.
going like, "Oh, I gotta get
Yeah.
this
I
done."
mean, you want to feel like your body's working, but
Yeah,
you don't want to dread it.
yeah, yeah.
I
That's great
never want to dread it.
advice because there's a million
Yeah.
options. There's a million options.
Now from
I
home
tried
or
Zumba
out.
a couple times and I looked like a complete asshole trying to do it. So I am leaning
Yeah.
on to try. I'm like, God, I'm like, no. Unless
Well,
the lights are off and I can
yeah.
do it in the dark, I'm not.
Nice.
I am not doing that.
Yeah.
So I tried. And
One of my neighbors, they were texting. She popped up this Zumba party that was last weekend, and she's like, "Would you girls be interested?" And I was like, you don't know me that well yet."
if you're asking me right now.
But once you're so interested in Zumba, one thing about me is I'm gonna bother you for the rest of our days. Come, 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 come.
Come
So,
on, let's go.
so yeah. If there are people who want to come, I am excited about it. So, and I will. I was trying other. There came a point on that journey where Zumba wasn't enough anymore. Your body is a machine, so it
Yeah.
gets used to what you're
Yeah.
doing, and you're
Yeah.
not. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I started doing hits, kickboxing, and all. And I really enjoyed
You did all
all
that
of
through
it.
the Y?
All of it through the
That's
Y. Yeah.
amazing.
And so during that time, I mean, the weight was just falling off of me.
Mhm.
I lost 220 pounds.
Oh
I
my
started at
god.
440. I got down to 220, which is where I stayed. I think
About how long was that?
a year,
A
1 year.
year.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. So May to May, I had
Mhm.
reached that. I got down to, I would say 210, which is where I'm at now.
And that was basically calorie restriction,
Mhm.
massive
Yeah.
exercise.
Weights, exercise.
Mhm.
I am a big believer in the sauna as well. So
Mhm.
the sauna, I think for me is what I was never even of all the times I was exercising prior to that part of my
Mhm.
journey, I was never really a big sweater.
Uh-huh.
And going into the sauna, I think is what, yeah,
Purging out the toxins too.
activated
I'm
that.
sure that as you're losing all that weight too, that's just like a toxic overload if you
Mhm.
don't purge it.
Yeah, I mean, you're
Oh.
storing all that in your fat.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was great.
That's awesome.
I've never felt more alive
Mhm.
than being in the gym 5 days a week and just knowing I was doing consistently what I wanted to do. And that just to throw in another piece of advice, where I have failed previously and even after this part
Mhm.
of my journey, which I'll get to, was the consistency. When you
Mhm.
let life
Yeah.
shifting or something interrupting
Yes.
it, interrupting that consistency, it was always key for me.
Mhm.
Something would happen, or
Yep.
I would break or I got sick, or something would happen, and I was so focused that year. And luckily, I had the ability.
Yeah.
My job was working where I wasn't working some of that. I was still in school, and I was just this perfect opportunity for me to
Mhm.
be in that zone for that time. Right after that, so July of so May to May.
And what year was this?
May 2015 to
Okay.
2016.
Okay.
I lost, 220 pounds in that year.
That's amazing.
Like the Y had set up for the news to come in and interview me. I mean, it was awesome. And I felt like what I always wanted was that my journey was inspiring others. And
Yeah.
I always said in
Yeah.
the back of my head, well, I want that to be something, um, and I felt like that was finally happening. Even people who didn't need to lose weight, they were so inspired to
Yeah.
come to me. You guys so inspiring. I know Kylie's going to be here, so I'm coming.
Oh, that's
Kylie's going to be
awesome.
here, and I was
Yeah.
like, thank you.
That's awesome.
I was getting that as well, even from just
There's probably some that almost made a little accountability
yeah,
factor there,
absolutely.
for you didn't want to let
Yeah,
people down
yep,
too, and
yep.
yeah.
They Zumba was there. I was there, and they knew. And then when I started, and I met one of my best friends there. I mean, she's much, much younger than me. We went to Jamaica. They were like, I said, if one more person asks me if I'm your mom, like, it's fine. It's not fine. It's not fine. So she was 20, at that
Yeah.
point. I'm 36. And so she became a workout partner for me. And she was really into doing weights as well. That is how we met, and it's still something. I was like, I'm going to Zumba today, and she's like, all right, she's a next year nurse, and she's got to work a 12-hour shift. She's like, I'm going to try to go before my shifts. We
Like long distance.
well, she's actually doing a travel nurse right now in Gwinnett, so she happens to be here right now.
Okay,
And
good.
so we were both at the Y, and she's like, all right, I'm going to try to go. So we held each other accountable during that time, and we still try to do that. So having her to do weights with after Zumba was, other women, like we would just that tried, they just stand and talk.
Yeah,
Like, I didn't
chat.
we would work and talk, and I was like,
Right.
this is what I need. And
Yeah.
we still got to work.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that during that time, very consistent focus. And then one of my best friends presented me with a job opportunity. And it was for an aerospace company. And I went from having total freedom to working like 70 hours a week.
Oh, yeah.
And the first 6 months of that, I tried so hard. I tried so hard to still be in the gym and still, I'm going to leave work. And it just,
and being a mom.
Yeah.
And doing your regular duties and working 70 hours a week. Yeah. How the hell?
It was, and they, they all wanted to work out too, but we all were very busy. There was a core group. That's who I'm spending my time with tomorrow and today and later. We're still very close, and they all wanted to also, they were all inspired by me and like, let's still go to the gym. And we tried, but we all were so busy there that it was, it was hard. So we ended up ordering lunches in. And, when you're working in an office setting, you end up eating more.
You're sitting at your desk.
You're sitting at your desk. And so I got very much off my normal routine of working. I mean, I would cry. I would be in my office like, I'm not going to make it to Zumba again today. And I would just be crying. And while I wasn't gaining weight at that point, October of 2016, I remember had done another juice fast to try to get under 200 pounds, which I got to 203, and then I had surgery, and then I couldn't work out during that time when I was healing from hernia surgery. And then that's when work was really picking up. And
so you're working like crazy. Can't work out because of healing.
Yeah.
Trying to recover from surgery.
Yeah.
Mother of 3. Life.
Yeah. It was a lot of life. And I mean, I was enjoying life at this point, but what was working for me with health-wise consistently was now, no matter how hard, and I say that, but people are like, well, just get up at 5. And I was getting up at 5. I mean, I was dropping off Reed at the daycare at 6 and getting to work and then going back at 9:30.
Yeah. So like how much sleep are you supposed to get?
Yeah.
At what point do you say, okay, I need to sleep?
I could have, if you want it bad enough, you can get up early enough and do a home workout. And absolutely. So there could have been ways around that. But what worked for me and what I enjoyed doing was Zumba.
Right.
Oh, to enjoy it.
Yes.
And which was very fulfilling for me. Going there is very much a happy hour to go dance for an hour to music that I love and sweat. And so I wasn't getting that.
Yeah.
And so that was really tough. So I was there until 2000. the end of 2018. Even though I was having a good time, I still was pretty consistent weight-wise. So I got down to 203, but almost immediately, meds after surgery and stuff, hovered around 210, 220.
Okay.
And then April of 2018, I got into a car accident and was on some steroids. So I went back to the doctor at 2 weeks for my checkup, and I had gained 20 pounds in 2 weeks.
Oh my God.
And I just broke down.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's okay, the steroids, I'm like, but I'm gonna be on steroids for a while,
Yeah, what's gonna happen?
Yeah. And I did not get back on the scale until August of 2020 when I had to.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait. So April 2018
Mhm.
to August 2020.
Yeah.
And then what?
So during the rest of that year, not only was I not working out, I was kind of falling back into some old eating habits and on steroids for about 3 months.
Yeah.
So when I finally did get back on the scale, I was 310 pounds. And so I basically during that time, because once I moved to New Jersey, I mean, we were very hyper focused on health again. And, still just, I gained enough where I was having to change out my wardrobe, I love fashion, and I had invested. I mean, I like to thrift, so I had invested, but I had a lot of clothes. A lot of clothes. And so I wasn't able to fit into my clothes anymore. And that was tough because I had finally, for the first time in my life, been able to enjoy fashion the way I wanted to. Even though I'm still not at the body that I want, I'm at a point where I can enjoy clothes and it look the way I want it to look and wear stuff I want to wear and not just settle for the biggest size.
The big girl section.
What's left over. Yeah. Fashion has come a long way in the last few years, even at 35, there was just a couple of stores that I could have shopped at. And it was older, more maternal. I'm just a mother of 3, but I still
want to look cool.
Yeah, I was so excited, and I had an office job, a very corporate, job. I had my office. I was like, what am I going to wear today? And so I was like, I can't fit in all these clothes.
And you don't want to go buy a whole another wardrobe to fit the current size. That's depressing.
The end of December of 2018, my husband and I made the decision to move to New Jersey. We, 70 hours a week, a lot of the day-to-day care when they weren't in school or daycare for my younger two was falling onto Quentin. My husband had moved to New Jersey. Wes had moved to New Jersey and was running the business, a window washing business in New Jersey. And so we made the decision that we were all going to move in January of 2019. Packed up, we moved, left my job. And
your family, by the way.
And my family and friends.
Rude ass.
That's why I'm like, I'm coming back to this. Any chance I guess. That was tough. It was very tough. While I was so excited to be connected with my husband again, almost immediately of being there, I felt extremely vulnerable. And this might be a conversation for another day. But the leaving, being an independent woman, having a job where while I was working 70 hours a week, it was the most money I'd ever made. I could support myself with or without a man, which,
it's feeling.
Fantastic. Leaving that and then going to this, new state and, whole new opportunity that we were now in charge of. This is going to be our business and it's up to us to make it thrive. So that, I felt very vulnerable.
Yeah.
But excited at the same time. Very excited about, I believe in myself. So I knew that we could make this work. So February, my husband's journey was also, he's never struggled with weight at all. But had just given up bread and he was doing, becoming a yoga instructor. So he's, hyper focused as well. And so I was like, this is going to be great. This is going to be great. Perfect. We're finally on the same path. And so we did a smoothie kind of fast that February. And then March 1st, we decided we were going to become alkaline vegan and kind of never look back. And so my diet changed drastically.
This month is 2 years?
3.
3 years.
Yeah,
2019?
March 1st will be 3.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Okay.
So,
which is pretty drastic.
It is. I was meat eater for very giving up dairy was hard. It
Yeah.
was very hard. I had already given up milk during that juice fast, my original
Mhm.
juice fast. Once I had went on the juice fast and then introduced milk back into my diet, that was the first time I ever realized what bloating felt like. I was kind of
Yeah.
in a constant state of bloat before
Yeah.
that for my whole life and
Yeah.
never knew. And I was like, oh, I don't like this feeling. And so I'd given up milk at that
Okay.
point, and we switched the whole house over to almond milk. So
Mhm.
that was already a shift, but giving up all of dairy and Ben& and Jerry's.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then meat and then
Yeah.
alkaline vegan is even a little more restrictive. We've
Different.
gotten away from that when we're out and about eating, but at home we still try to stick to it. So went to a very restrictive diet and felt amazing.
Uh-huh.
Felt amazing. I still was not on the scale at this point, so
Yeah.
I didn't know what I weighed. I could tell, and then fasting,
Mhm.
water fasting is a part of that lifestyle,
Okay.
and fruit fasting and all different types of
Mhm.
fasting. So there was things that I was doing. I did a 2-week fast at that in May of that year, and kind of cured my nut allergy from that. So
Mm.
it was such an exciting time to be exploring food for nutrition
Yeah.
and curing different ailments
Mhm.
and things like that. Excuse me.
Versus as a crutch or a
Right, right.
reward/punishment.
And my taste buds were changing.
Interesting.
So
Mhm.
while I was eating healthier and not missing the standard American diet,
Mhm.
my love of food was shifting, but still growing. I love food more now. I love healthy food was
Uh-huh.
now tasting amazing to me.
Interesting.
Asparagus and things that I
Mhm.
never would have eaten before. I've been like, oh, now I'm like, oh my gosh, so
Mhm.
it was very much a mind journey as well during that time, because
Uh-huh.
I was like, I'm so excited, I
Yeah.
love eating these foods. And so the amount that I was eating was probably still too high.
Mhm.
Even though it was salads, it was a big
Yeah.
salad, so and I was just concerned that I wasn't concerned. I was focused on
Mhm.
the nutrition that I was getting.
Mhm.
And so if I lost some weight, it'd be like probably 10 pounds here or there. I could
Mhm.
tell I lost a little, but then
Yeah.
it was just back and forth. And then I introduced intermittent fasting, and of course I'm always very hardcore with something. I'm going to go to the extreme measure. So I'm going to do the 4 hour. And so I could tell I probably lost again 15
Mhm.
pounds, but nothing was really working to lose any significant
Yeah.
amount of weight. And I got very, very frustrated.
Mhm.
And I was like, I am working out. I'm eating healthier than I ever have.
Mhm.
It's not working.
Yeah.
And
That's super frustrating.
so at that point, I was like, I am, new doctor, new everything,
Mhm.
because I hadn't, been in a new state. Um, and so I went to the doctor, explained what was going on, and she ran all these tests. We even kind of looked at, could I be premenopausal? At this
Mhm.
point, I'm 40,
Yeah.
and, came back in a couple weeks later after running all these tests, and she sat down and she was like, I have great news. And I was like, okay, she's going to
Yeah.
have some diet pill for me.
Yeah.
What's the solution here? And she was like, we ran all your tests. You're one of my healthiest patients. And I was like, okay, so what are we going to do? And she
Yeah.
was like, I said, I can't fit in any of my clothes. And
Mhm.
she was like, well, I'm sorry you can't fit into your clothes. I'm not worried about your weight at all.
Oh my god.
And I just started crying.
Yeah.
And I was like, I came here for a solution.
Yeah.
I need something. I can't just keep going back to what I'm doing, because
Right.
I know I, I would say that all the years of losing weight or trying to lose weight and
Mhm.
having the frustration surrounding that, never was I more frustrated than that 2019 to 2020,
Interesting. Yeah.
because I knew I could do it. I had already proven I could
Mhm.
do it. Why isn't this working?
Right.
And so more frustration during that time than ever before.
Yeah.
Before I was like, well, I
Mm.
failed again, and let me
Yeah.
just go eat this. And, I was really working hard on not relying on, I'll have a smoothie bowl instead of,
Mhm.
a pint of ice cream, but working hard on still maintaining the nutritional diet that I wanted to do, but it was not working. And so
Yeah.
I just
Ugh.
was like, oh, was hard on myself. Like, I know I
Mhm.
can do this.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm going to refer you to a nutritionist, and they can talk more. She's like, it is at a bariatric surgeon's office. I'm not referring you for surgery.
Mm.
Do not
Yeah.
panic. Don't think that. And I was like, all right, yeah, that's not for me.
Yeah.
Do this.
Yeah.
And so I went there, talked at length with the nutritionist, and in pops this doctor. And the surgeon comes in and he was like, "Hey, I've been looking at your chart." And I was like, "Yeah, no, not here for that. Here to speak to him." And he's like, "Okay." And he was like, "That's fine." He was like, "I just want to say you're a perfect candidate." And he was like, "You're a dream candidate for me." And I was like, "Yeah, no, I know I can lose this naturally."
Yeah.
And he's like, "But you're not, right?" And I was like, "No, I'm not. I'm not." He said, "It's not working." And he's like, "All right." And so we hit it off immediately. He's
Oh, wow.
I've had some surgeries. He's my favorite surgeon. He's amazing. He was such an amazing guy. I've never been more open with a doctor. We just hit it off, and he was like, I said, "I know I can do this." And I wanted, not that I have a problem with the surgery, but I didn't want to put my body through surgery again.
Yeah.
I've had, as you know, after my appendix surgery, it got
Yeah,
infected, and
you've
it was
had
a
some bad luck.
very long
Yeah.
ordeal. So I was like, I just don't want to have to put myself through that if I don't have to, and I know I don't have to.
Yeah.
And so he was like, "Well, how about this? There's a 6-month process with your insurance. All of these tests that you get run, endoscopies, and you check your heart and your lungs and
Wow.
all these things." He's like, "It's a very, very intense process." He said, "With that, you have nutritional appointments every month. You have psychology appointments." He was
Oh,
like,
wow.
"It is a very long process, and with that would help you along your journey for health,
Oh,
period."
wow.
He's like, "And at the end of that journey, you don't want to have surgery? Don't." And I was like, "Okay."
Okay, that makes sense.
And so we did. We went through it all. And even during that time, I mean, we were talking about cutting out certain things. And, it was a really good journey. I found out I had sleep apnea. And very mild case. They're like, "You only stop breathing 6.2 times an hour." And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "We don't even diagnose it until 5." And I was like, 5 times an hour. So, um, right before, I mean, that was August, June, July is when I got on the scale. The journey started August of actual bariatric process. December was right after Christmas. I had just spoken to the doctor. I was like, "What do you know about body set points?" And him and the nutritionist were, and she's, "This is why I love you." And she's like, "We just came back from a conference on this." And so, most Western medicine doesn't, in my experience, kind of rely too much on nutrition or rely on fasting or certain, it's very, here's a pill. And so for them to have just come back from this conference, and he was like, "Here's the thing. Now that you understand what's going on, your body is fighting to get back. This is why you lose 10 or 15 pounds. It's fighting to get back to where it's comfortable at. And you're going to continue to deal with that." He's like, "You can do extreme fasting. You can do this surgery. And the surgery will reset your body set point."
Oh, wow.
And I was like, "Okay." And so I thought about that all month. And right after Christmas, I was like, "You know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it." And the next day they called me. I didn't even know I had gotten approved yet. And the next day they called me, "Let's schedule your surgery." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So
you heard my thought.
so once I made peace with it, then it just happened. And so February 10th will be my 1 year. And he said, then being a vegan, my concern the first 6 months is protein. Outside of that, the way you eat, you're going to be successful long term. I'm not worried about it.
Okay, that's good.
And so even during that process, they say 60% of what you intend to lose or need to lose is your goal for 2 years. So they wanted me to lose 60 pounds over 2 years.
Oh.
And I've lost 100. So they're like, "You're doing great." And and I'm like, I was hoping to be, down another 20 by now. So of course my goals are higher than their goals.
Yeah.
But
okay. So when you had the surgery, your weight was
310.
310 1 year ago.
Yeah.
Coming up on 1 year next week.
Mhm.
And now
208.
208.
Yeah.
All right. And you're feeling good.
Feel good.
And what exactly was the surgery?
So a gastric sleeve.
Gastric sleeve.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I would not have done the bypass. It's too extreme for me. I didn't qualify for the bypass, but I wouldn't have gone that route. Or being a vegan, it would have been even harder to get the nutrition that I needed. And that type of surgery, there's more room for nutritional deficiencies and stuff. So I wouldn't have gone that route. So basically, they take your stomach and they cut about 85% of it. So you're left with about this much. And it's each doctor has a different program, but it's 2 weeks prior
Mhm.
is liquid diet, such as protein shakes,
Mhm.
and then liquid.
Mhm.
You literally clear broth. I brought my little vegetable broth because I didn't know they were going to only serve like chicken
Uh-huh.
broth at the hospital. So broth, um, Gatorade, of course I would
Mhm.
drink that, Jello, those sort of things for the first
Mhm.
few days. So I just lived on broth and water, and you transition from that
Mhm.
to eventually pureed foods and then soft foods, which would be, for a normal person, eggs and things like
Yeah.
that. That was such a, again, mental
Mhm.
to cutting out your stomach, is cutting out a lot of your hunger hormones.
Uh-huh.
So most people, the hunger comes back. Mine has not. I
Okay.
don't experience hunger. I
Wow.
have a desire to eat and I know I
Mhm.
need to eat, but I still don't
You're not
ever.
like, "I'm
Yeah,
starving."
I never am like, "I
Interesting.
eat."
I didn't know that
And I'm
happened.
so
Okay.
grateful,
That's
so
awesome.
grateful for that. So usually it's just a period of time where that happens, a couple of months,
Mhm.
and then your body starts producing the
Uh-huh.
the ghrelin and things like that again. Um, so to go from my biggest concern was water. How am I going to get enough water in
Right.
when you go from that to sipping?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Sipping water and um, to go from eating a whole meal or even just chugging a protein
Mhm.
shake 3 days before
Yeah.
to having a medicine cup
Oh,
of
oh my
one
god.
ounce in the medicine cup, and they're like, "Please finish this in 15 minutes." And it's a struggle, at the hospital. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
"I don't want to drink anymore," So it was such
Wow.
a mental shift for me. And of course, that goes away. And the longer you're
Mhm.
healing, the more you can. Now I can drink water normally,
Yeah.
but to not even want to eat, to other people have quicker programs where you're on soft foods within a
Mhm.
couple weeks. I would have been terrified to put, you know, soft soup in my body at
Mhm.
2 weeks. Even at 8 weeks, I was like, "I don't know,"
Oh
and they're
god.
like, "It's fine, you
Yeah.
can do it." So to go from to,
Yeah.
yeah, to be nervous about it,
Yeah.
it's
Wow.
different. It's
That's
a different.
totally crazy.
And even now, I mean, you can
Mhm.
eat, I can eat more now than I could 6 months ago,
Mhm.
but it's your stomach is this big, so
Yeah.
you eat, and some of the things I still need to work on is eating slowly because you eat too fast and then you're like, "Oh," and it
Okay.
hurts. And it's very, very restrictive. You can't drink 30 minutes before you eat or 45 minutes after. So you go from just eating and drinking
Wow.
normally
Yeah.
to, and I drank a lot while I was eating
Mhm.
before. And I mean, that's no one is supposed to do that, and not
I do that
understanding
all the
that.
time.
Like, it
I'm
flushes your stomach
Yeah.
quicker, it
Interesting.
expands your stomach, which then throws off and that's ultimately why they're cutting out your stomach, is because you've stretched it over and over and over. So then your
Mhm.
hunger sensor is
Uh-huh.
way off. What your stomach used to be this big is now this big.
Right.
Your sensor's now up here instead of down
Mhm.
here. That's water. Water
Wow.
is part of that. Drinking while you're eating or drinking carbonated stuff is expanding it.
I didn't know that.
But it wasn't, I was getting 2 or
Mhm.
3 glasses in and I'm like, "This is how I'm getting my water is because I'm
Mhm.
thirsty while I'm eating." And,
Yep.
even now you go to a restaurant, they're like, "You don't want anything?" And they'll still bring me a water,
Yeah.
thinking as a server,
Yeah.
you're just doing, your due diligence. And it's
Yeah.
like, "No, thanks. I
Mm.
can't." It's tempting
Yeah.
because that's what
Yeah.
and just out of
Wow.
habit, you would wait, grab it and
I
drink it.
need to get more conscious of that because I didn't know that.
Most people don't,
Yeah.
and so things I've
I drank a ton while especially if I'm at a restaurant,
yeah, yeah,
a couple refills
yeah,
for
and you're
sure.
waiting while you're getting
Mhm.
it. Yeah, absolutely. I
Wow.
always get a lot of water.
Did
So
not
to
know
to
that.
to just have total freedom to being like, okay, I can, you know, vitamins that you have to take
Mhm.
now, so I can't take this with that. And so there's so much more a level of consciousness that
Yeah, huge
and
level.
mindfulness with how I eat, when I'm
Mhm.
eating. And I do still, now that I'm out of the 6 month phase, I've thrown back in the intermittent fasting. And so how am I going to get this food and the
Mhm.
calories that I need in that time frame when
Yeah,
I can only eat this much food?
yeah,
So, and then can't drink during
right.
that time. And so it's much more level of mindfulness with it
Yeah.
than, which is good.
That is. It's crazy. I think so I would say you're still very happy that you went the surgery route.
No regrets at all. I
Okay.
think some people struggle with effects afterwards and,
Mhm.
and sickness and some of that. I've had none of that. And I
Okay.
do attribute that to my diet,
Mhm.
the types of foods that I eat.
Yeah.
But no regrets.
That's awesome.
It is definitely a tool that is a tool. You know,
Yeah.
you still have to, and I think people get a lot of flack for, oh, it's the easy
The
way
easy
out.
way
And
out.
it's
Yeah.
not. And I think I'm someone who always wanted to prove I could do it
Mm-hmm.
without that.
Yeah.
So I had to wrap my head around that
Yeah.
to accept that I was going to
Yeah.
take this
Like you
route.
were cheating.
Yeah. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
think it was the easy way out
Mm-hmm.
because I do know people who have had it, but I also wanted to prove that I could do it without
Mm-hmm.
any assistance.
Yeah.
And I did,
Yeah. It's not like you
but
didn't
I
try. You tried your
also,
whole
yeah,
life.
yeah,
So
I do
and
need it.
successfully.
Yeah,
And
I
you were
proved
on
that I
it.
could do it.
Yeah. You were in the. You were working toward that success again. Anyway. So, um, I know we've been on here for an hour and 10 minutes. So let's see. I wanted to talk about well, we said mindfulness and it's a lifelong awareness, no matter
Mhm,
where you are, if you've had the surgery or not, if you're
mhm.
vegan or not, it's no matter what you're doing, it's awareness.
Yeah.
There were one of the whole points of this show, I don't know what to call it, is helping people have a takeaway, have a walk away with something that is of value. I mean, this whole conversation is valuable, but if you think about key points, like something people don't know, this is, why we started our coffee, cancer and cocktail Facebook page, is all of the real shit that happens in
Mhm,
life with cancer, not just the, oh, here's how many times we did chemo and da 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 da. It's like the real shit, the roid rage and all that. So
mhm.
it's helping maybe others understand the journey and the emotions and the stuff that are behind it, and also like takeaways that makes life a little easier for others. So if someone were in your shoes, and there are lots of people who are fighting the good fight on their weight loss everywhere,
Everywhere.
think about what, little morsel or nugget you could offer. And I think it's really interesting how um you said, and I can't remember if you said it last night or on here, how you feel a difference in the way strangers view
Mhm.
you, even though you're the same person.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
so
I think that, well, I have more zest for life, and
mhm,
excited about being able to experience more things. Who I am at my core
mhm,
is absolutely the same person. Um, being morbidly obese or super morbidly obese, the world definitely treats you differently. And if it's not, some man saying some crude comment or hearing a child or a mom saying something to their kids, that's why I don't want you to eat the ice cream. You know what I
oh
mean?
my god,
Doesn't
yeah,
matter if you're with your kids or what, it
yeah,
happens all the time, or snickering.
mhm,
If it's not bad, it's invisible. You're kind of invisible to the
mhm,
world. And when I lost weight, that was such a difference. Coworkers,
mhm.
just the way that people and the society treats you, you're no longer invisible, and they
So
engage. And I'm someone who attracts strangers just randomly coming up and
mhm.
telling me their issues with their bodily functions. Random, my friends like laugh like, there she is again. So I have that
Mhm.
interaction with people, but but I still at times felt very invisible.
Yeah,
And the world definitely treats you differently. And I think that two takeaways would be, understanding, especially this particular journey, that you are never going to be complete with you're never going to be finished
mhm.
with the mental side of it. You may, um, absolutely be settled into the way your body looks, and
Super happy,
yeah, super
reach your
happy with
goal
it.
weight, goal
Yeah, you might
size.
be at your goal weight,
Mhm,
but you're never going to be done, especially if you have a food
mhm.
addiction, with having to make those choices
Yeah,
every day. And so understanding that reaching towards a quick fix
mhm.
is never going to be a solution. I personally feel, because you have to put in the work on the mental side of it to understand,
Right.
and it's
There's
something I'm
not like
still
a
doing.
quick fix. Well, they always say this. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yes.
It's a
Yes.
lifelong journey.
Mhm.
It's a part of your journey
Yeah.
forever, not
Mhm.
just a chapter.
I think
Mhm.
accepting that and I'm only in the last 2 years learning that
Mhm.
and accepting it, that it's always going to be there. I'm always going to have to be aware that I can't, while I may during the holidays give myself more rein on enjoying
Mhm.
food and stuff, I can't let that turn into 3 months
Yeah.
because then the weight will creep back on.
Yeah.
So it's that awareness all the time.
Mhm.
Um, don't punish yourself. Don't punish yourself. Enjoy your life.
Yeah.
Enjoy your life. Just do it in a balanced way.
Mhm.
Um, but I think because society is always going to have their views, especially social media, it's always been this
Mhm.
way, and I think it's worse now. While
It's
we have,
worse with filters and
yeah,
all that shit. Yeah.
you're not seeing real people.
Mhm.
You're not seeing real people visually any
Mhm.
longer, and we have in our society this concept that size equals health. And it was, I felt healthy even at 220 pounds
Mhm.
before I knew I was really working out and felt great.
Mhm.
But to walk into the doctor's office at 310 and she's like, "You're one of my healthiest patients. I'm not concerned." And I was like,
You're like,
"Okay."
"What?"
And she said, "Would you rather me tell you, here's a pill,
Yeah.
but you're unhealthy?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"Well, no, but they fit in my clothes."
Yeah.
So I understand that the rest of society is going to look and say, "Oh, well, she's a size 14.
Mhm.
She's not healthy." And it's like,
Mhm.
well, I'm healthier, most likely, than
Yeah.
maybe the next. But I say that with my son who's 18, who eats like crap, and he thinks because he doesn't have a belly that he's the
Yeah.
healthiest person in the house. And
Yeah.
it's like, no, what you eat, you're sedentary, like
Yeah.
that size does not equal
Well,
health.
and we talked about this earlier, but it goes to the whole point too. Like you can be the skinniest person who's, what you were doing
Hmm.
before, barely eating and throwing it all up.
Hmm.
That's not healthy.
No,
But you might be the skinniest person in the room doing that. That's not doesn't mean you're healthy.
right.
But you're not getting the looks.
No,
Not
you're
getting
not
the
getting looks.
judge. You're not
Right.
getting the lazy piece of shit. Why don't you do
Mhm.
something about yourself? Yeah.
Yes. Shedding as much as you possibly can the expectations of society
Mhm.
and pouring self-care and self-love into yourself. I think ultimately, are you happy?
Mhm.
Do you feel like you're doing what's best for you and not, if you want to eat a chicken sandwich at the restaurant instead of a salad, then eat the chicken sandwich.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
eat the cake if you want the cake. If that's going to make you feel good, don't eat the whole cake.
Right.
Don't eat cake every day. You know what I mean? But there's always going to be somebody out there who thinks what you're doing isn't right or what you
Mhm.
should be doing.
What you should be
Yeah, what you
doing.
should be doing.
Mhm.
And you've got to shed societal norms because they're very skewed, and we think size equals health, and that's just, I mean, let alone mental health, but
Yeah.
physical health, there's plenty of people out there who are very sick inside and eat horribly, but look skinny, and we think that
Mhm.
that's okay. They'll never get judged.
Yep.
But you could be at the gym every day and eat wonderful, and then go get one Big Mac, and just
Yeah.
you gotta let go. You gotta let go of it,
Yeah.
and just follow your path and follow
Mhm.
what's right for you. Because even dieting, what foods may work for one, or what fasting may
Mhm.
not work for
Right.
somebody, and so you do
That
have
we
to
know
find.
that in our own family,
Yeah.
the Weight Watchers versus keto versus intermittent fasting versus whatever. Our bodies are different. Yeah. That's something that I think I always I try to stay conscious of is not to judge anybody. It doesn't matter if it's the homeless person walking down the street
Mhm.
or, you know, my 600-pound life because you don't know their journey. You don't know. It's always I try to stay conscious of um grace and just really uh refrain from judgment as much as
Yes.
possible and be that person. I heard this thing yesterday. Your light will only grow when you offer other people
Mhm.
light. It's a reciprocal situation.
I think I'm I've said this. I'm grateful that I grew up overweight. I'm a kinder person because of it.
Mhm.
I've always had the ability, because I've been on that end of it, to be more open-minded and more
Mhm.
understanding based on physical appearance or disabilities,
Mhm.
anything. But that shift when I lost the weight made me even more hyper focused on
Yeah.
how I am, and more of a deep dive into other biases that I just
Yeah.
may naturally have. So, yeah, I think I've always been aware, but losing the weight and seeing that shift in society has
Like
made me turn
experiencing it
inwards. Yeah,
yourself. Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely.
That makes total sense. All right. Well, those are really good takeaways.
Thank you for
Self-worth,
having me.
self-care,
Yes.
grace.
Mm. Everybody's fighting.
Everybody's fighting something.
Yeah.
We know that. We know that. Well, thanks guys for watching, and thank you, Kylie, for sharing very honestly and very transparently.
Yep.
That was awesome. I mean, I'm your sister and I learned some really great things. Um, I appreciate it. And I hope that that touched someone out there that that is struggling or trying to find self-worth or trying to find the right
hmm
match for them. Um, and just know that it's out there. It may not be alkaline vegan lifestyle, whatever, but there's there's something. Your journey is your journey, right?
Yep.
And it's doesn't end until the end. Yep. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank
Love
you.
you. Mhm. Guys, everybody have a good day. Till next time. Coffee, cancer, and cocktails. Coffee. Bye, guys.